We're getting close to the end of the series. One more to do after this one, covering the base molding. In this penultimate part, we will add the handle to the existing assembly of the knife box. The handle is held in place by protruding into stopped dados in the end components. The first step is to get the handle shape as created in part 1 of the series. The shape exists on the scan that we used in that first video. I'll make a copy of the shape and move it over to the knife box assembly. The shape is currently a group, and so I will explode this group and turn it into a component. Right click on the shape, right click on the shape and pick explode, and then right click again and pick make component. I'll call it handle. To precisely position this within the box, I will need to move it along each of the red, green, and blue axes. First, the red axis. Click on the center line. Tap the right arrow key to hold the movement along the red axis. Then touch the cursor along the edge of the bottom until the midpoint appears. You should see a cyan color at that point. Now let's move it along the green axis. Tap the left arrow key to force the movement, and again find the midpoint of the base edge. Then click. One more move, and that's on the blue axis. And force it with a down arrow, and then touch the cursor on the face of the bottom. The handle will be flush with the top face of the bottom. We can do a little inspection to see that the positioning is accurate. Also, I've provided some extra height of the handles. You can see it protruding above the shape of the end piece there. That gives me some extra room to use to do some final shaping in the shop and fitting. This is only half the shape, so we need to copy that shape, edit the component, double click to get the shape, copy that shape, and move it down the red axis. Then do a flip along the red axis. And then zoom in close to make sure you pick the very end of the shape and move it into the center line for connection. There'll be a joint that shows here, a line through the middle center line there. I'll delete it with the eraser tool. Now is a good time also to just check to make sure that we've got this thing positioned correctly and it's the proper length, so we can zoom in and check this end over here to make sure it also fits properly against the end piece. And you can see that protrusion again to give me some extra play in the shop for shaping that end piece. To give the shape a thickness of 3/8 inch, we can push-pull 3/16 on each face. Now I can see some extra edges that need softening. Use the eraser along with the Control key or the Option key on the Mac. Click on these extra edges. There are a few of them here. I can see a couple more inside this little recess opening, finger opening, and then there's another line over here. I suspect, yeah, there's an extra line up in the top of that cutout. Okay, so the next stage is to extend the length of the handle on each end 1/8 inch that sets into the dados that will be put into the end pieces. To do that, I'm going to bring a copy out in front of the handle. And edit the component. And I'm going to use the tape measure to put a guideline down 1/2 inch from the top edge here. This is going to be a notch in the protrusion. So watch for the blue color on that cursor to make sure that that guideline stays on the face, on that angled face. And then draw a line across that edge there. Delete the guideline. And we need to create this 1/8 inch protrusion. I'll draw a little 1/8 inch line there on the red axis. I can come up and I can see a magenta color, which means I'm parallel, and I could do that line there, but that won't be, actually that won't work as well. I'm better off just pulling a little line out here on the red axis, 1/8 of an inch, and then coming down parallel end point to end point, creating that little face, and using the push-pull tool then to complete the protrusion. We've got an extra edge here, a line that needs to be deleted, and one over here on this face, on the back face. And we've got a protrusion that'll go into a stop dado. I'll copy this shape to the other end. I want to select the full end there. I'm going to do that again to make sure I got it all. And pick the Move Copy tool and bring a copy of that shape over on the red axis. Flip on the red axis. And connect in here. There'll be a couple faces missing that we can just finish up with a little edge, tracing over and then getting rid of the extra line again on the back as well. There's a face is missing. Just trace over that edge, then delete the extra line. So we're done with this copy now, and we can close and erase. Come back to the assembly, and we need to make that dado in the end component. I'm going to turn on X-ray so we can see the protrusion, and then just use the line tool to trace over that protrusion. First edit the component, edit the end component, and draw in the shape of that protrusion. And trace over all these little edges here and down the back of the bottom of the dado, and we can turn off the X-ray to see what we've got. The best thing to do is, again, make a copy of the end component this time and bring it out into the clear. Have a look at what we've done with these extra lines. Edit the component. Pick the eraser tool and just knock out that bottom edge, and we should have a dado. Oops, I see I missed an edge down here. Close that in. Probably the same thing over on the other side of the dado. I missed that edge as well. Close that in, and then reverse color here. And we've got a stop dado. I'm done with the end component. I can erase it. And the handle is in place, locked into there with that stop dado. And looks good. Oh, I see some extra edges that need smoothing with the eraser tool and the control key. And that completes making the handle. Next time we'll do the molding on the base.